In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Mattel Creations exclusive WWE Ultimate Edition Straight Edge CM Punk figure. Now, it's quite interesting the way that this packaging is, as you'll see. I thought for sure that this was going to be very similar to the Mattel Creations Cody Rhodes that we got, to the Logan Paul. And the Logan Paul may have been like this, but I could have swore it also had a covering on this. If you'll remember with the Cody Rhodes, remember there were the circle dot Velcro things, and you could unfold it, and it would create like this mock ramp, and sort of like an entrance stage deal, kind of like with this. You can see in the background there, that's the classic, not classic, but you know what I'm saying, kind of classic now. You know, kind of almost 20 years ago version of ECW. So it is technically an entrance, but there's no ramp here. There's no face on this. So this right here, as it stands with the opening and all, was put in this big box here. So you do get this box from Mattel Creations in the shipper. You'll see it says Ultimate Edition Mattel Creations. You get some, you know, the cards and sort of your American traditional tattoo work here that says Straight Edge Hardcore. And then you do have CM Punk there on the side with his name down here. And then on the back you get kind of the same patterns, WWE logo, and then it does say CM Punk on this side. So this is kind of your box that is inside the shipper, this little brown shipper box. And then inside of this, you have this, and this is the figure itself. So you have the Ultimate Edition Punk. He comes in this black packaging here. You're having a nice matte, a nice gloss finish, and you can see that rib cage design from one of his classic t-shirts. So you are getting that going all the way around. CM Punk down there, and again, we do have the ECW behind there, but you do have a nice shot of the figure, which looks pretty damn good if I say so myself. This is actually my favorite version of CM Punk. This is my all-time favorite version of Punk is when he first came into ECW, WWE, and you know, for that first probably 3 or 4 years there of his run, and then after that, I don't know what happened. I think after the Summer of Punk, I know that was a ways after, but this was my favorite iteration here, and on the back of this, you do get kind of your classic look of a Mattel packaging. So you get the prototype sort of image here. You can tell by that head sculpt, man. Look at that prototype. That's a hand-painted prototype head sculpt. Then you have a shot of Punk here. Got some little bio reads down there. If you want to read it, you can pause it now, but this is not bad. It kind of looks like the back shot of this looks a little small for the box, but I don't know. Maybe I'm smoking something. Just smoking weed. I'm just kidding. Just like CM Punk here, and this figure, I have been straight edge my entire life. So with this platform, I want to speak to the young kiddos out there. If you're going to make the decision to drink alcohol, which I say you don't, or do drugs, don't do any of them, don't ever be pressured into it, man. If you want to try something, and you're of age, and all of that different jazz, alright then, go for it. I wouldn't recommend it. I'd still say no. I'd say stay sober, stay away from drugs completely. But just the peer pressure element of it, man, don't give into that bullshit. Stand firm, and don't give into it. But yeah, stay straight edge, man. Anyways, let's shut the hell up and crack this CM Punk out of his packaging and take a look at what he looks like on the rotating stand and get into this Mattel Creations Ultimate Edition CM Punk. Alright, man, so here we have CM Punk out of his packaging, spinning around here, man, and I'm actually quite impressed with this figure. Now, when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, which we're, of course, going to do, I don't know how I feel about it in certain aspects, but in other ways, I'm like, damn, well, you got a little something special going on there, young man. So we'll get into all that lore, we'll break it all down for you, we'll take you through every part of this Mattel Creations CM Punk Ultimate. But with that being said, man, let's get into these accessories, and then we'll dive into CM Punk himself. Alright, man, we're getting into the accessories with this CM Punk, and I like the accessories we get here, but it does feel a bit light. I don't know why. I mean, you're getting the cloth goods, you're getting the championship, you're getting 3 interchangeable heads. Maybe it's the lack of like little accessories, like maybe a microphone or maybe an extra pair of, you know, go to sleep hands or like entrance style hands. I don't know. Something, it just seems like there's something missing here, but it is an exclusive, you know, to justify that higher price point. It was the same price point as the Cody Rhodes and the Logan Paul, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think we had a price increase. I know a lot of people were talking about that, but I do believe it was the exact same price as those two. But let's get into these figure accessories. And getting into the head sculpt, I do like this smiling head sculpt. Reminds me a lot of the classic Ringside Collectibles exclusive, and I'll bring that up right here so you guys can see. This just looks like a True Effects version. It's kind of crazy, you know? I mean, that's kind of what you're looking at. There's the difference in the tech right there, man. Thought we had it all over here on the left, but look at that on the right. Realistic beard and eyes and piercings and all kinds of shish. Looks pretty good, though. I like the likeness, and this definitely is an upgrade. And this one kind of reminds me of the old Jax one. Remember where which I think the Jax had a little bit more lightness for whatever reason, but he's looking slightly to the left. You have the lip ring there, which is pretty cool. And I always thought that this version of CM Punk just looked like Colin Farrell. He just looks like Colin Farrell, man. He's Colin Farrell. That's just what it is. But we also have the screaming expression, which I like. And you'll notice that he has like these little notches on his forehead. I'm guessing that's like some factory glue or something right there, or removing it from the packaging. But you'll even see he has the tongue ring in the side of the mouth, which I think is absurd. That is a crazy detail that they got in there right there, man. A tongue ring on the figure is crazy, and you just know that man was, I don't even know to go there. I mean, if you have a tongue ring, man, good God. But it is kind of a redo of the Money in the Bank ring set exclusive Ultimates, what it looks like. I mean, it's kind of just, you know, adding sculpted hair and a tongue ring to that existing face. They just kind of retooled that face, which seems to be kind of a trend of Mattel going forward. And then we also have the Straight Edge Hardcore t-shirt for CM Punk. I want to say this is his first shirt in WWE. I could be wrong. You can let me know if I'm wrong there. But yeah, you have that. It's non-Velcro, black tee, and on the back you get the, you know, the Punk stars, the Chicago flag stars, and then we have the banner with the CM Punk, which is pretty good, man. Velcro-less is always good, and the t-shirt will hide kind of the eyesores, which we'll get into. And then we have the ECW rebrand championship here, which I was always a fan of. I actually like this championship for whatever reason. I don't know. And maybe, I mean, this version of ECW is kind of nostalgic for me in a way. But at the same time, yeah, I'm glad to have another one of these. I don't feel like we get this title a lot from Mattel, so it's always nice to get a bonus one here. But yeah, I think that this title kind of fits CM Punk for whatever reason. I don't know. I just like it. And then we have the newly sculpted hand tape hands here, which you can see all the different sculpts. You get the X's, the drug-free on the hands, or the knucks, which is nice. But I imagine we're going to see these sculpted hands like this a lot down the line with different characters, different guys wearing hand tape and stuff. They're probably going to reuse these a lot, which is going to be a cool thing to see unfold. So this is kind of the brand new beginnings of a new thing implemented into the line. I think it adds a lot here, so we'll have to see how that trend goes as we go. But then we also have the fisted hands, which is the same thing. Newly sculpted hands with the black X's, drug-free on the knucks and everything, man. So this is going to be nice. We're going to kind of venture off here together. This is a groundbreaking discovery or a start of a new thing here from Mattel. So we'll see how this all unfolds. Alright, man, we're getting into the Punk figure itself, and we've already taken a look at the head sculpt. I dig the head sculpt a lot. I think it's a strong likeness and all that, and I really dig this torso here, which is pretty sweet. I like this torso a lot. Off the top of my head, I think this is the new Punk torso that they're putting on his Ultimate Edition Series 27 figure in the pink and black from his SummerSlam matchup with Drew McIntyre, which we should have that figure in hand very, very soon to review for you guys, but I think that's the same torso here, but you'll notice on his shoulders, man, there is something here where it looks like his shoulders are protruding out so much that it looks unnatural and it looks weird, and I want to compare it to his last Ultimate, which was the ringside exclusive, just so you can kind of see the difference here. You see how the shoulders are kind of recessed in on this one, and then on this one, they are kind of, I don't know, they're poking out, and they have these giant balls, and it looks very unpleasing to the eye almost. Like, I don't know, it's definitely an eyesore, something that catches your attention and then you can't look away from it. But I hate to see that because I think that the figure otherwise is really, really good. You also notice his arms are very long because of this. They kind of outstretch a little bit further. So I don't know how I feel about it, but let's get into the rest of the figure and maybe you can make that decision for yourselves as we go here. But he does have his straight edge tattoo. He's got his shoulder tattoos, arms going down. No sculpted wrist tape, but he does have hand tape, which I think is kind of an L. Now I know on the new Ultimate we're getting, he does have the wrist tape. So maybe if you can, you could arm swap that if you'd like to, but that's kind of unfortunate. Maybe, if we get some classic Punks in the future, then you could do an arm swap with a new Elite and then retire these arms and, fix it up that way if you wanted to. But you have the yellow trunks, the black stripes, Punk on the back, and that kind of ransom letter sort of deal going on, but all of this is standard. Got the hand tape, have the pins in the legs, which is great for articulation, and then we do have the open black knee pads, which are great, and then we do have the classic kind of Punk kick pads here in black with the sculpt, and then he does have the, the new ankle rocker and the toe pivot in there. But that is something I want to get into now, is the articulation of this figure. And looking at this figure from this angle, can you kind of see what I'm saying? How the shoulders protrude? I think it's something that can be hidden. It just looks a bit weird. It's almost like a variation of the Boulder Shoulder Rhino, just not as egregious. But one thing I can report happily with this figure is it seems to be kind of a badass when it comes to articulation. He can look down a decent bit. Can't really look up because of the hair here. You get a decent amount of head rocker there. It is, the ab crunch on Ultimates, is not the greatest for whatever reason, and you also get this weird, like, dinosaur back spine deal going on there with the back muscles, but you lean back that far, you do get some pivoting here. You get full waist swivel, which is tight, which is nice. Shoulders go all the way around. You get the bicep swivel, and you get the butterfly joint. Now, had they actually, the way that they cut this in, I don't know why they did this either. You'll notice that, you see how it bends in up here? This cut needs to come down That way, when you try to come across the front right here, it doesn't run into that, because now you have to go up and across, which does allow for some good stuff, but I feel like it would do a little bit better, because then you run into that issue right there. So I think that this cut probably should have been in a little more and rounded out right here, so you get a little bit more across the middle of the chest rather than the upper chest, if that makes sense. So that is a problem there, but you do get the double jointed arms here, which is nice. You get the hinge and swivel in the wrist, and the arms, of course, go above 90, but you can kind of see, like, when you pull this back, look how big that shoulder ball is, which I just think is, I don't know, it's definitely an eyesore. It's just, like, the arm is poked out so much that it's crazy, but he does have the drop down hips, which allow for a really good kick forward and all that good stuff. You get thigh cut, really buttery smooth double jointed knee, which I love to see. You get kick pad rotation, you get ankle rockers, feet go up and down, and you do get the toe pivot. So the guy, I mean, outside of a tad of looseness on the feet because of the new articulation and, you know, trying to figure that out and the drop down hips and such, I think once you figure that out and handle it a little bit, it's pretty damn good. He feels pretty damn good in hand, and I've had a lot of joy posing this guy around, and you'll see when we get into the photography and whatnot, but I like this figure, man. I think that you do get a lot of, like, really good stuff here, but God, the shoulders are just really driving me nuts. But let's get into some CM Punk figure comparisons. So for your first comparison, we have the ringside exclusive Ultimate Edition Punk, and again, we do have that new Punk coming out. Legitimately should be at my door tomorrow or something, and maybe Tuesday or Wednesday we'll have that review up for you guys, and we'll do a comparison between all three. So this is going to be our, right now it's our second, but it will be our third Ultimate Edition CM Punk, and they're all kind of built a little bit differently here, but yeah, man, you can just see in those shoulders, they just don't look natural, even though I do prefer that torso, maybe. I don't know. You can let me know which build you like better. I know one's older versus, you know, a younger version of Punk, but yeah, it's still a cool comparison to see. And then for your Mattel Creations single release Ultimate Edition exclusive comparison, we do have the Mattel Creations exclusive Cody Rhodes Ultimate and the Logan Paul Mattel Creations Ultimate Edition exclusive. And I know we had the crowdfunder with the Doink and the Diesel and the Macho Man, which you could technically include in this, but I was going for the single card releases, and I think this is all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm mentally ill. And then for our Elite to Ultimate comparison, we have the Ringside Collectibles exclusive ECW Punk from back in the day here in the red and black, which would have been cool if they just upgraded it straight up, but I do like that we're getting debut Punk here with the yellow, which I like. But I don't know, I like them both in their own way, kind of a, you know, sign of the times and whatnot, but that Ringside exclusive Punk from back in the day was such a great figure for the time. It still holds up over time too. I think it's a good figure. And I do believe this is every Elite CM Punk that we have gotten so far since his return at Survivor Series War Games, compared to the new Ultimate Punk. And again, this doesn't include his new Ultimates. This doesn't include the prior Money in the Bank Ultimate or the new upcoming Ultimate in pink and black. And then we do have a few more coming down the pike, as we know. From left to right, you have the Top Talent CM Punk, the Elite 113, the Defining Moments Pipe Bomb, the Straight Edge Society from the Vault re-release, the Elite 115, and then we do have the Mattel Creations exclusive Hell Frozen Over CM Punk from Survivor Series War Games. So, nice bit of Punks here, and we're going to continue to get a lot more Punks as we know. We know a new top picks with new torso and camo and all kinds of great stuff is coming. We know another Ultimate is coming down the pipe as well with Larry. So, tons of CM Punk to go around, which we will compare later on, but this is what we have for this current edition of Punk today from this Mattel Creations exclusive from his debut. But I think that about wraps it up for this CM Punk Ultimate Edition figure, man. I think at the end of the day, it's kind of bummy because I think that this figure is really damn good in a lot of ways, but there are a couple things that I think could hold it back, or things that you may dock the figure for that you should absolutely not overlook. Let's just look at the head sculpts, and we'll dive into the whole entire thing of it. I think all three head sculpts are fair. You know, the smiling one looks pretty much like that old ringside exclusive. I think the likeness is there. You know, I think the blank expression is fine. The yelling expression is a bit goofy, but it's kind of a resculpt of that, you know, that ringside exclusive Money in the Bank 2011 version, but I like this one more. I think the long hair fits better. Again, I did say this is my favorite era of Punk, so I do like that. I like the torso. I think it's interesting. He's actually got nipples on the guy, but I really like this torso. I think that it could be used on other characters. I love this torso so much more than the Daniel Bryan torso, and I know it is an Ultimate Edition, but my only fault with the figure's build and everything like that is going to be in the shoulders. I think the shoulders stick out too far. Now, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it's because they made the socket of the butterfly joint too small, which is what it seems like, or what that is. Maybe the peg needs to sit deeper. I don't know what the true answer to that is, but I will say the shoulders are sticking out a bit far, and it makes it look a bit weird. When you have the shirt on there, it doesn't matter as much. much, but the figure feels incredible in hand. When I talk about articulation, I love the way the figure moves. I like the way he feels. It's got pin joints in the knees, so you know it's not going to be super tight, which is great. I love the boots. Like, everything just feels really clean. Tons of range of motion here, you know. I think that the butterfly joint's a little lacking on this just because they didn't cut it in as far. They have it more on the upper chest instead of the mid chest, so it is a little bit harder of a reach to try to get around there. But man, I really like it. I like the gear. I like the accessories. I like this figure, man. I think this is a formidable figure. The only thing holding it back is that aesthetic of those shoulders, which I think is a big deal. Don't get me wrong, it is a big deal. But overall, I think all the other parts of the figure kind of make up for it. But damn, that is, like, that's one of those bugaboos, man, that you hate to see. You hate to see that because that can really hold a figure back. But I don't know, I think you can manipulate it so it's not as bad. But yeah, I mean, if you look at this guy straight on, just not, aesthetically, definitely bothers me. But the hand tape sculpt is cool. I look forward to seeing, you know, the wrist tape sculpted on too, because I think that's a bit of a weird eyesore as well. But I like the figure a lot, and I think you guys will too, man. If you're on the fence, I think you'd be impressed with it if you're, you know, a Punk fan, a fan of this era. I think it's a fun figure, man, but you can let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But that is pretty much going to wrap it up for me. Huge shout out to our Patreon members, man. Appreciate all you fellas so very much. You guys are so incredible, and I appreciate all of your support as always. But I'm getting the hell out of here, man. Leave me your thoughts down below. I'll see you guys next time. Have a blessed one, and I'll catch you guys later.